Mm. There were a few difficult games. For sure, the derby was one of the difficult ones, but also GKT at home was a very difficult one. And I must say away Lipuli, also with the circumstances, the rain, the weather, the wind, made it very tough. So I think these 3 games for me were the most difficult ones. GKT at home because they were very defensive, well organized. They had they put an extra midfielder to block us. So yeah, these 3 games were the most difficult ones for me. Totally different as a coach. I'm more introvert when I'm alone. I like to spend time on my own, reading, doing some other sports like running, walking. I think daily, or I try to do daily my physical exercise. And then I like intellectual things like reading and searching for new things. I'm very curious to develop myself, and yeah, I don't like too much people around me. That's who I am outside of football. Yeah, but all regions has something special, something specific. But Victoria Lake and Wanza, I think, was the best one until now. Also because we had a good period with sunshine. In Morogoro and Iringa we went with rain, and when the sun shines it gives always an extra positive touch on the place where you are. So until now the places I visited was Wanza, but I also like the mountain in Morogoro. One time or one day I would like to go all the way up to see the view from up the mountain in Morogoro. Yes, I know everyone is eating ugali. It's similar to Nshima in Zambia, so I don't like it too much, but I know it's a tradition here. But I like the seafood. It's not easy to find sometimes, but the fresh fish from the markets, that's the most tasteful food until now that I had here in Tanzania. So he means which position we want to renew for next season. It's a difficult question because I think we have a good squad and we can continue with everyone. Although as a coach you always prefer to have more quality on every position. To mention one position, no, I'm quite satisfied. But maybe some positions can be, because we have a lot of offensive people, I think more in thinking of balancing the squad. We have a lot of offensive playing wingers, and I would like to have maybe more a midfielder extra or a defender extra. So I'm not thinking in which position I want, but more in thinking of balancing more the squad in maybe less offensive players and 1 or 2 extra midfielders or defenders. I know the number. I forgot his name. I know he was in the selection in March for the national team. It's the number 8 of Namungo. Offensive. He scored a very nice goal against us. A long range shot. I like him. He was technically good. He was holding the ball. He was quite smart in his positioning. He played a good game against us, but also because I watch a lot of the games on Azam TV. I saw also some other guys, but sometimes the consistency here is not always. Sometimes even in my own squad, I would like that players have more consistency and play every week 8 on 10 instead of one time a 9, then a 6, a 9 again, then 6, 6. So the consistency is maybe a thing to work on even in our squad.
Which team were you playing and which number were you playing?
I was a professional player for about 15 to 16 seasons. I started in the first team when I was 16, and I stopped football when I was 32 because of an injury. I started in Belgium, KV Mechelen, then I went on to the Netherlands for 6 years, spending time at Roda. 4 years we played also Europa League, so I had also some European games on my CV. Then I went on to a good team in Greece, and I went back for 1 or 2 seasons to Belgium again, and I ended my career in Norway in a good team. So I played about, I think, 400 games on the highest level in Europe, and I was playing as a holding midfielder most of the time. But in the end of my career, when I get older and slower, I went to central defense. And I was playing with number 6 all the time. Every season, 16 years long, I had number 6. I fought for it every season in the start to have my say number 6. Maybe sometimes overreacting on small problems. And now, the past few years, passing my time in Africa, I learned to calm down, to redirect my thoughts, and to go in a good way. That's a delicate question. I think we have a good squad, although we lost the last derby against Yanga. But I'm satisfied, and at this moment I don't see anyone crossing the border. I want to continue with the guys I have, and until now there's nobody of Yanga that I want to take in count to cross the border to our team, Simba. Why? You can say why Akijibu is not playing, or why Mr. X is not playing. As a coach, you take in count a lot of things. Football is physical, tactical, technical, mentally, so you have a lot of components to deal with. And in the end, you choose your best players. Not always the best players, but the best as a team, because they have to be complementary to other positions, to those who are next to them. So I don't gonna answer exactly why Milipili is not playing, because that's something between me and him, and we talked about it a few times. I tried to explain him, but as a coach, you take in count everyone, you take in count the different components, and then you make your choice on level, skills, and complementary with the other positions around him. Option to do, or midfielders going down, or an extra midfielder from the start, or whatever. That can be a lesson, but it can be also a lesson that maybe we have to push even more forward and more pressure on the ball when we lose it, to don't let them counter. You can go in 2 ways. You can go to the method of Pep Guardiola, who puts pressure in the first 5 to 6 seconds to recover the ball again, or you can go to Mourinho style and say we're going to play more defensively. To be honest, I like more the option of putting pressure forward, because I like to play offensive football and I like to play on the opponent's half. So that's something we have to train, and what we have to deal with for the next difficult games coming up. I think there are 10 games to play, and maybe also 3 in Cup. So yes, we have a break through Corona. It's not easy to overcome, because you cannot train together, you cannot plan tactical sessions, so guys have to train on their own. But my opinion is that, first of all, I think that the epidemic is not yet arrived in the country, because when you see what's happening in Europe, numbers are much higher. So I think we're still in the first phase of the sickness here in Tanzania or in Africa. So I think the bad period will still come. I think, and that's my opinion, if we can wait to end the season after everything is passed, I think that's the best option, because there are, first of all, there's health of players, coaches, people comes to watch the game, so that's one. But there's also a financial part, and without being egoistic, I think television rights, income for clubs, there is much more on stake than just finishing the league, and the health of players. Of course, health is number one, but I think we have to wait until everything is finished and then finish the league in a good way. So we can also decide, or the decision will be on the sportive side, who will go down, who's the champion, who's second, who wins the cup, and not just by picking clubs, because if I go to see the second league, there are a few teams who are on positions to come up to the highest level, then they deserve it as well. So I think the sportive decision is always above administration decisions. So I hope we can, after everything is finished and the health is secured, that we can finish the league in a good way. I think it's very, it depends where you are in Africa. I think there are two different styles, and then I talk about the English-talking countries and the French-talking countries. I think the French-talking countries, or French-speaking countries, they have a more physical way of playing, still the direct old English school of playing. Then I talk about Cameroon League, also Gabon, maybe Congo a little bit. That's one. Secondly, then you have the English-speaking countries where football is more technical and also a little bit more tactical, what I appreciate. And then you have to say you have the top 4 leagues, maybe that's Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria and South Africa, where football is much more developed, also in facilities. Their budgets of the clubs are much higher than what you have in Central Africa. That's my verdict, but there is a lot of talent. Although there is no grassroots yet, I think grassroots has to, we have to develop grassroots to have basic skills when they're on 17 or 18 years old. Now most of the time a young guy, he still has to be developed in the first team, and I think we have to start much faster to start grassroots in a better way, so young players can be much more ready when they're 18 years old to make the step to the first team and to become a professional football player. There was no intention, because when I came here, only Kajere was the only central striker who was fit. So the choice was not made by intention, it was much more made on who was available. Miraji was injured, he came back with an injury from national team. John Boko was still suffering an injury that he had from August. So at that time, Kajere was the only full fit striker. So that was an easy choice. And then you go around to see what you have on the sides and as midfield. Now making the step to 2 strikers was not an intention of playing with 2 strikers. It was much more an overview after we lost JKT. So who was really giving everything, who was really being able to give us an extra. And then you come out on 12 to 13 players, and with that I made a strategy and a tactical plan for the next game. And from then on, I think we had a very good period. So I think the choice to make some changes in the squad, and I have to say it was helpful that Boko was fit again, Kanda was fit again after being injured after the first derby. It helped me and it gave me some more options to put a team together. I think it's the same answer as what I gave after the question about Milipili. Demla has a very good right foot. He can make very good long passes. Although physically maybe he's not the strongest guy, but that's not, Chama is not strong neither. I don't think Luis is a very strong guy, so he has to have it from his technical ability, and maybe he's unlucky that we have a lot of good midfielders and that he's blocked by some guys who has a lot of potential, a bit more than he does at this moment. So that's why he's, in my opinion, not playing too much. About the Brazilians, I think they're well integrated in the group. They're very professional. They bring us something extra in work ethic and work rate. They're never complaining, so they're good guys. They helped us a lot. I mean, Tyrone played a few games in central defense. He's a good header, he's tall. Gerson Fraga was playing midfield many games, especially the first 2.5 months. Sometimes you expect a little bit more technical abilities from Brazilian players because that's the image you have. But the guys we have, they're more, they're very good professionals. They never complain, they never skip. So I'm happy to have them, although they don't play every game, but they're helpful to, because they played a lot of minutes, so they're helpful in a full season. You cannot always play with the same, so they're very helpful and they're pushing the others to their limits to give the best of them. By game, I think we have a good squad, we have a talented squad, but telling who's the best one, then you have to more specify your question, because is it offensive, is it defensively, is it about a task, is it about making the difference? Everyone has his task in a team, and I think until now everyone is doing quite well. And the only question sometimes I have is why sometimes can play a certain player a good game and then the week after he's so the consistency in performances, that's more a question that we have to answer and not about who's the best, because today you play a very defensive team, then for sure an offensive team player will be the best one on the pitch, but next week you play a tougher opponent and then maybe your central defender will be the best one on the pitch. So it's about what is giving every player every week to the team, and then I say the consistency sometimes can be better for most of the guys in the team. Yes, in the beginning it was a bit difficult because language, philosophy, you have to learn each other. So in the beginning it was not easy. Sometimes a coach comes with his full technical bench, and then you know each other from the start, and you know what to have or what you can expect of everyone. Here it was different because I came in an environment where all the positions were already filled in, so I had to learn them, they had to learn me. We had to see which philosophy everyone had, and then after a while I think we started well to work together. We start to understand each other, and I think when you see the technical bench now and you compare it to the first 2-3 weeks when I arrived, I think there's much more cohesion, there's much more discussion between us, and I think there's one nice picture taken by our media guys where with 3 or 4 we all sit on the ball next to the pitch watching training session, and even everyone can coach with us. So I think that's the best proof that at this moment we're going well. No, I want to win the trophy on a sportive way, so I think it's best to play the league until the last game. If it will be possible, that's another question. I prefer to wait and to end the league, to play the last 10 games and even play the cup games. So every trophy is won in a sportive way and not on a decision in the federation on administration proofs. So I would like to finish the league in a good way and play the last 10 games of the league. I think our first transfer has to be Miraji to make him fit again. He's out now for I think 4 months, and in the end, before the Corona popped up, he was starting on the pitch to walk, to easy run. So I hope that will be our first transfer, and I think it can be a good one because he scored 6-7 goals in the first 10 to 15 games in the league. So I think that's our first transfer to do, and then I don't think we really need. I think I told already a few times that our squad is okay, is good, so we can keep everyone together, finish the league in a good way, and for me, Miraji can show first what he's able to perform in the striker position. I think until now we didn't face that problem. Even in the younger game, the last derby, I think we were dominant on having the ball. So I think Mkuu is strong enough to play as a one holding midfielder. And he can defend, and he's fluent in the game. So even on ball possession, he's always available. He can make the transfer from defense to the offensive part. So he's good in both things, defensively and offensively. Playing with two holding midfielders, I think that's a very defensive strategy. And most of the time we have much more ball possession than opponents. We have much more offensive plays than opponents. So until now we didn't need that. Maybe when we go into Champions League and we play top teams from Egypt or Morocco or South Africa, you can consider it as a tactical change. But until now in the league, for me it was not really necessary to play with two holding midfielders. And if I will play with two holding midfielders, I will always give the task to one of them to get higher up the pitch when we have the ball. And then in the end you stay also with one holding midfielder. Only you get back in shape with two holding midfielders to close spaces. But in my opinion, until now, it's not necessary because we have a better squad and we have more technical abilities than most of our opponents. Only it can be a tactical change when we go into more difficult games and Champions League next season. And I will repeat, even then when we play with two, I will always give the task to one of them to make a forward run when we have the ball. I did, maybe not by name or not personally, but I saw the Champions League game Enkana Simba. I think it was December 18, yes, when I remember, because it was rain season in Zambia. It was COSAFA under 20 at the same time, so I was watching my internationals from Zambia, because I was the head coach of Zambia national team that time. So I even met some board members that time, and I watched that game. So I already knew a bit of the team. I already knew some players, because it was somewhere in the back of my mind. So yes, I knew a few guys, not personally, but I have an impression of the team, and I had an impression of the players and the club side. So it was not all new when I had a small advantage, CEO. But I didn't know you, because you were not here neither.